We've talked about this hanging guard here. We've talked about this tap here, the middle guard here. My dad always liked open hand techniques. He had a good punch on him, but he always liked the slap and the palm strike. This, you know, the old palm heel. It's really, really useful technique. I want to go back to sticks now. We talked about this attitude with the stick, holding it at the handle end in this kind of saber fencing derived way, where we've got this, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. Now we're going to talk about using the end of it, all right? So with a traditional Irish stick, like this or whatever, this bit here, this root ball, is called the merlan. Now this can be used this way, so it's like a hammer, so it's like a club, or you can turn it round and use it that way. I put some pictures of me on using that, doing it that way, and everyone went, oh, you got your stick the wrong way around. No, the reason is because if you, with some sticks, like that stick for example, if you've got it here, very often the stick can get hooked on things and you can lose your stick. I turn this one round because I don't want that to happen. Or you can still strike with the end of it, but you're stopping it from getting hooked onto things. So it's just a personal preference really. I like using this particular stick this way. When I'm using that hazel, it's straighter, so I don't mind. So it's not right or wrong, it's a personal preference. But what we're going to do now is a little bit of two-handed work. Okay, so we're going to start with it this way. So same again, measure the end of the stick to the tip of your elbow, and you're going to hold it here with your right hand, and then your left hand is going to go here. So it's not a million miles away from how you would hold like a katana, like a samurai sword in that way. However, we've got the Irish guard here. As we're doing the parries, so same again here, but because you've got two hands on it, you've got to be hold it in a supple way. You don't want to be going where it's awkward. Do you understand what I mean? So you've got to be nice and free with it, really, really relaxed, otherwise it won't work. Okay, same again with the low techniques. Here, 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 here. Okay, just get used to moving and coming back to that reset position. That's important because, as I say, from here they are going to go low, and getting from here to there might be quite awkward, so always bring it back to here in between. Okay, let's have a play with that. So now we're going to transition a little bit from here using this single-handed attitude. Remember to keep your left hand in play here. Yeah, transition from that to using this way, this two-handed, coming back, just playing with the stick at this point really, getting used to it, make friends with it. Some of you are using your own sticks that you go out walking with. Get used to using them. Make it a natural part of yourself. The third attitude with the stick is going to be using it as a staff. Now, again, when people started using fighting sticks, and I'm talking in the 18th, 19th century, the idea of using a quarter staff wasn't as far back as it is now. So a quarter set staff would be like a 6-foot staff, like a bow in Japanese martial arts. Bow, B-O, not a bow. And the way that you would use a quarterstaff is by holding it in 3 sections like this. Obviously, a quarterstaff is 6 foot long, this is 4 foot long, but you get the idea. And so you would hold it this way in thirds. So we call this the grip of thirds. Okay, and from here, you can strike this way, strike this way, strike this way, strike this way. That is the basic attitude with the quarterstaff, and this is how the stick can be used. However, this is just the real basic aspect of it, where you're holding it here. The majority of time, what people will do is have one hand up and one hand down like this, because if you get a good bash on the stick and you've got both of your hands like that, you're more likely to drop it. If you've got it like that, you won't. So it's this way. And then there's the idea of feeding the stick. If you think about going back to a quarterstaff, the whole point of having a 6-foot staff is so I can hit him without going over to him. And so that the way that they would use it is feed the staff like that, so that I don't have to be here, I can hit him from here, okay? As it pertains to the stick, you might begin holding it this way in the fencing attitude. You might then come back to the quarterstaff attitude with it here. And it's the ability to transition through these different ways of using it that kind of gives it its quality, all right? A lot of any martial art with a weapon is about getting used to the weapon, isn't it? Being friends with it, just getting that familiarity with it. There's nothing worse than seeing people who are awkward with whatever weapon they've got, like it's a completely alien thing. My philosophy with this is you're not going to be walking down the street with a samurai sword. You're not going to be walking down the street with a spear, but you might be walking down the street with one of these. So it's the most valid self-defense weapon that there is, really, isn't it? Because it's something that you can legally carry. You can be out for a hike, you can be out for a walk with your dog or whatever, you get attacked, you've got this, okay? So it's getting used to it and getting that so that in your sleep, you've got that muscle memory where you're completely confident with it and you're just kind of friends with it. Okay, now another aspect of it is simply a speed strike. One of your best weapons is to simply utilize speed, and that would be that kind of whipping strike where you can hear it cutting through the air. I would be aiming for the face with this. The attitude with it is you're not striking, bang, you are cutting. You want to slice the face with this, and you're only going to do that with speed. You've got to do that with that whipping action here. The use of speed is your best weapon. So the way my old man used to hold his stick generally was like this. And he used to always say to me, keep your stick close, because it goes back to that thing. As soon as it's out there, it's not my stick, it's our stick. So we're keeping it in here. This is one attitude. This is an attitude with it. This is another attitude with it. Generally, we would not be holding it like that unless it's for the practice of basics. We would always be keeping it close. If Chris is coming for an overhead attack, I'm coming here. We talked earlier about how you can move inside the technique like so. Perfectly valid. This time we're going to move outside of the technique. And what you're going to do is use this action to whip him like that. If he keeps hold of it, and I do this, it puts him like that. So again, he's in a good position for me to make a follow-up. So what you've got to do with this is you haven't just got to go like that. You've got to have that potential in it, that you are taking it like that. Really get that whip with your press. So it's hanging guard and into here. If you go back to about 1800, 1790s, they were known for the pike. The pike is like a great big long spear. They were used to this kind of thrust. So what we're doing is from here, we're coming in, taking him there, and then when we see an opening, we're going for the vulnerable spot, the neck, or wherever he's left open, we're going for this. But then we'd retreat back with it. Remember, my stick, not our stick. If you want to, you can come inside as well, and all of these sorts of things that we talked about before, these are just examples really.
Morning.
Good morning, sir. We're just stick fighting.
Is it the Irish stick fight?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.